From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoon LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. Your CR for stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, the one that involves Russia, with nearly 1,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border and a battleground that we have not seen since the Cold War brewing right now. Either breaking news and how it impacts your money. We'll go over that Build Back Better Act that passed in the House back in November, now in the Senate, that has tens of thousands of dollars in there that would pay you at least about $15,000 to $60,000 of checks, and the opportunity to get it passed. But now, a second, third, fourth, and fifth opportunity across the board. It's called CR for stimulus, and it has passed now as well in the House, sent to the Senate. And this time, a little bit different, as the senators say with their version, CR for Stimulus 3.0, they're ready to merge it with 2.0. Wow, incredible bipartisanship. And you're not the only one, and I'm not the only one that's noticed it. A total change. Why this bipartisanship may likely get you money quickly across the board. Then we'll be turning to the incredible money across all these items, including the MSC, monthly stimulus check that will be inserted into the Build Back Better Act, and the third stimulus that would pay you about $45,000 that you can still get today with another round. Then we'll be looking at the opportunity to repurpose money, to get that money out to you without an act of Congress. It would come by Joe Biden's choice, and it would pay you a lot of money, plus the opportunity of a lifetime. SS-200, debuted by legislators 2 years ago, but now back on the channel today. SS-200 2.0, how the president can do this, raise your benefits up not 1 month, not 6 months, but a lifetime of $200 a month. I have all those incredible news as well in this recording. We have a jam-packed recording with a lot of pieces of legislation and a lot of opportunity to get you money. Chocolate cake, that's another show. I know the chocolate cake is trying to take my ratings. But with that, let's get to the incredible great news, because the moolah starts here, not so much the mocha, and this is Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and away we go. Wind into the weekend and the new week with big money across this recon. The Build Back Better Act passed in the House back in the month of November. That would pay you a lot of money. The opportunity is abound. But CR for stimulus coming right behind it, that would supplement the Build Back Better Act. Not one, but four opportunities. We're going to go over CR for stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0 in today's recording. And 4.0 is the one that involves Russia. Can they get it done? I have the latest details in today's recording, plus the opportunity to repurpose money across the board. And the SS-200, first debuted by legislators 2 years ago. It's back in the mix on only this channel, where I'm going to show you how the opportunities to get it out are upon Joseph Biden. And I'm going to show you how to get it done. Plus, stay to the very end of this video, because I have lots of money. As viewers have gotten $45,000 from third stimulus already, I'm going to show you how you can get more of this money later in this video. Stay to the very end. We have a long recording, but we also have a lot of money in this recording. And all the incredible excitement starts right here, right now. But first, I need you to do a favor. I need you to go right into the video right now and subscribe. You're watching the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America, LALATE. But I want you to help us bring us to number 2 by subscribing. Like the video, tell your friends and family to come on over and watch the channel that's getting people big sums of money daily, hourly. And also sign up for that LALATE membership under the video Meantime, also sign up for the LA Alerts, totally free, so you do not miss a video across the board. We have a lot of money to go over in this recording and a lot of pieces of legislation, but we're going to start first with the Build Back Better Act. Has 3 clusters of checks, 3 add-ons of checks, and we're going to look at each of them one at a time, but starting first with the first one. Remember, this recon has at least about $60,000 of checks in there for you. Let's go into cluster number 1. You ready? I'm ready. Let's rock and roll. Hazard pay. Earned income tax credit 1 more year for my essential workers. This was broadened and the third stimulus. You can learn about it still at irs.gov. The CTC, the child tax credit, done 1 more year, also unveiled under third stimulus. You can also learn about that at irs.gov. Brand new, $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 to care for young children. Also brand new, the $550 Pell Grant for my college students. $12,500 towards the purchase of a new electric vehicle. Home repairs, if you live in a low-income community, totally free across the board. And a lot of other items in just that first of 3 clusters of checks. Now, you heard me right. There is also 3 add-ons. These are incredible sums of money, and the first one is the one that really excites a lot of viewers of the channel. It comes from Southern California, here where I am recording from. Maxine Waters, House member. She got it in on the House side, and it is money to go buy your first home. Can you imagine? Just incredible. What did she do? She got it in there, and she wanted to give you about $25,000. It got a little bit less in there than that. But again, this is money for the purchase of your first home given to the seller by the federal government during the time of escrow. Wow. Let's go now to the second cluster of checks. Paid leave and home repairs. The home repairs this time is to weatherize your home, and the paid leave is a lot of money. This is if you have to stay home due to sickness or illness. You are a family member in the household. How much does it pay? A lot, folks. $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. If you make $35,000 or more per year, it is $800 a week. If you make $15,000 or more per year, it is $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 to 6 weeks per year. So that's about $46,000. W-2 1099. You all get it. Now, what's incredible great news about it is that you get it also inherently if it's one person in the household. So if you don't work, but your son or daughter does work, and they're part of the household, they have to take off from work due to your illness, take you to the doctor once a week, then they're going to get the check for the household. It's incredible. Which then tees us up for the second add-on to checks. You know it comes from Bob Casey. But do you remember the amount of it? I bet you do. If you're on the live chat right now, write the amount. I see someone writing it. There you go. It is the incredible $250 billion, just a little bit less, for free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities, which tees us up now for cluster number 3. Cluster number 3 is where we find a true deliciousness. Free school malls for all checks. Checks for seniors, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for independent contractors. Then they got in there 2 items for the seniors on the House, and then 3 coming on the Senate side. On the House side, they got the Medicaid gap fix, and also the hearing checks. More about that in a second. On the Senate side, they vowed to add in there the dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course when we're talking about House versus Senate, because guess what? Those senators want to add a lot of checks into this recon, including the third add-on. If you're in the live chat, write those 3 letters. I think you know what they are. There you go. I saw someone write it. MSC. Multiple scrumptious chocolate. Yeah, I got you there. No, monthly stimulus checks. They are absolutely almost as delicious as my chocolate cake recipe. So there you go. What is it? Well, the Build Back Better Act has lots of checks, multiple checks in there. It'll pay you about $60,000, but these are checks that come from IRS. So who gets it? Eligibility is the same as a third stimulus check. Those legislators have told tens of thousands of viewers of this channel since last year. Let's recap that eligibility. Single individual, $75,000 less, you would get it if that's your annual income. Married couple, $150,000 less, double it if that is your annual income. A family of 4, quadruple it. And then if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, you get it as well. It is not income. It is not taxable. It is offered by the federal government. It is not coming out from the states. So it is not a state-by-state situation. It's also paid due adult dependents. And guess what? It is incredible. It would go off the most recent tax return. So that most recent tax return had a direct deposit account on it. That's how you get paid. Otherwise, in the mail. Now, how much is it? They want to do $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. They tell tens of thousands of viewers of this channel since last spring. That is MSC, an add-on that would get you additional checks into this Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon. Now, how do they add it in there? Let's go over those details right now, which also teases up for CR for stimulus. The way they get this in there is during Senate subcommittee. The legislation at issue, which we're talking about right now, is Build Back Better Act, passed in the House back in November, now in the Senate. During the Senate days, they would send it to the Senate subcommittee, and the Senate subcommittee would modify by adding stuff to the thousands of pages of checks are currently in there. Then they'd have a final Senate bill. They don't have a Senate bill just yet. They call for a Senate floor vote. Then they have a 2-day vote-a-rama, and then we are ready to rock and roll. We are done. But there's an opportunity to get you a check separate and apart from the Build Back Better Act, in addition to it, sooner, quicker than later. And it's debuted on this channel 2 years ago, and it's back in the mix. It's called CR for Stimulus. If you're in the live chat right now, write the hashtag campaign so other people see it as well. What is CR for Stimulus? The concept is very simple, that you're using a small bill, hundreds of pages in length, not thousands of pages, that would go by bipartisanship, that has an inherent deadline, that you could slide something in, a check, and get it out the door very quickly before Build Back Better is done to supplement Build Back Better. And it first debuted on this channel in 2020. Let's go over the history of CR for Stimulus. In 2020, we had seen the start of the pandemic, and we had gotten a first stimulus package. But by the spring, the money was gone. We had used it up. We needed more money. So we heard about a second stimulus package in the works being negotiated. The negotiators at the time were Nancy Pelosi out of San Francisco on behalf of the Democrats, Speaker of the House, and Steve Mnuchin out of New York on behalf of the Republicans, negotiated then Treasury Secretary. They had no deal in the spring, no deal in the summer, no deal in the fall, no deal in the winter. And by winter, I said, this can't keep on going on. I have to come up with an alternative idea for these people. And I did. I looked high and low and I said, you know what, this is what I want. I want something that's a bill, a couple hundred pages in length, and not a package, not 3,000 pages. I want something that has an inherent deadline, because Steve and Nancy are just sort of rolling this over. I want a deadline, something that has a deadline in it. I want something that goes by bipartisanship. I looked high and low and over and left, and I finally found it. A continuing resolution, CR. What is a continuing resolution? It's a bill to fund the federal government done every 3 to 6 months approximately. It has a lot of different names to it, but generally called a CR. And it funds the federal government, the operation of the national parks, the operation of the federal buildings. The reason why I liked it is because it's hundreds of pages in length. It goes by bipartisan support. It gets done. It always gets done. And it may roll over a day, a week, maybe a month, but that's it. They don't roll it over because they don't want the government to default. And then I delivered the recording. To prepare the recording to go on air to viewers of the channel, I prepared how to advocate for it, and I also prepared how to respond to potential criticism of my idea. At the time, Americans were only looking at a second stimulus package. They weren't looking at anywhere else to get a check out. So I made the first recording in December 2020. I said, hey, everybody, it's LALATE. And I have an idea. We've been waiting months, 11 months now, for the second stimulus package. It's not finished. Why not use something else? I came up with the idea of CR for stimulus overnight, and I want you to tell me if you like it. If you do, push. The idea is to insert one or more stimulus checks into this continuing resolution that has a December 2020 deadline. Get it out, because guess what? The CR will get done. It has an inherent deadline. They're not going to roll over. And if it goes out, then a check goes out. Do you like the idea? And then viewers said they did. And we pushed CR for stimulus. Immediately, the criticisms came on in. I was prepared for the criticisms because they're exactly what I expected them to say. You're crazy, LALATE. That doesn't make sense. You can't put a stimulus check in a continuing resolution because it's money for the federal government. Money for the government, not money for the people. It don't belong in there. I laughed because I said, you said exactly what I expected you to say in the criticism. I'm ready for you. I know it doesn't belong in there. They constantly pass legislation where they have checks in there that don't belong. They've done this since the history of time, and during the pandemic, they're notorious, Republicans and Democrats. They passed a COVID relief bill that proposed to give money to foreign military governments, a COVID relief bill that proposed to build a brand new FBI building, a COVID relief bill to expand the Department of Copyrights. They can insert a stimulus check into ours. And so one morning we woke up and we heard, guess what? There will be a stimulus in the continuing resolution. We thought we were done until we looked and we realized, oh, it's unemployment stimulus. Not what we were asking for. So we pushed again, and then suddenly it was in there. A $600 stimulus check was inserted into the continuing resolution, and it became law. You got that $600 stimulus check in December or the following week thereafter, and it became law. And thank goodness for CR for Stimulus and the advocacy and the creation of this channel, because guess what? Second stimulus, poof, never happened. It blew up shortly out thereafter. It never went to a vote. It never had a bill. It never had a passage. It never had a law. And it certainly never had a check. So 2 weeks ago, I brought CR for Stimulus back on the mix of the show. I said, do you like it? And viewers said, yes. Same equation, 11 months of negotiations, two guys negotiating, or two people negotiating, Joe and Joe, and no deal. So I said, this time around, we have a February late deadline of another continuing resolution. Let's advocate for its inclusion. CR for Stimulus is back in the mix. That's CR for Stimulus 1.0. Well, apparently we were heard, because in less than about a week and a half, the House Democrats said exactly what I had said on the recording. We support the Build Back Better Act. We support that forced stimulus recon, but we can't wait around any longer. We need economic recovery assistance now in smaller, ancillary, extra, quote, pieces, plural, of legislation. And that we're going to start passing them right away. And within 24 hours, they did, as I delivered the breaking news on this channel at the time. 2 weeks ago, the next day, 24 hours after that statement, they passed the first piece of economic legislation out of the House. It has now been sent to the Senate. We call that CR for Stimulus 2.0. The great news is that 3.0 was in the mix, ready to merge in the Senate. All the latest updates about what's going on with ours, CR for Stimulus 1, CR for Stimulus 2, which we just went over, and 3, the Senate version, plus the latest on 4.0 and what it means in face of the biggest proliferation and assemblage of Russian troops at a non-Russian border since the Cold War, happening right now at the time of this recording. It's CR for Stimulus 4.0, and it's all breaking news. Then we'll be going into the ability of the president to get SS200 not into your wallet for 6 to 12 months, but lifetime. We'll take a walk back over the last 2 years of what SS200 has been and why now is the opportunity to get it done with SS200 2.0. Then we'll be looking at repurposing money and stay to the very end, because I got tens of thousands of dollars to get you for rent and utilities. Viewers have gotten in the last few days. It's your opportunity as well. Stay to the very end. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. As a big afternoon's LA with a lot of breaking news continues, see you back in 60 seconds. As we continue with CR for Stimulus, SS200, and money in your wallet today, it's Afternoons LA. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And and then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now as afternoons LALATE goes into its big second half with the continuation of CR for stimulus 2, 3, 4, and 1.0. The Senate changes would merge 3 and 2 together. But what would happen with 1.0? I have the latest details, breaking news today in the second half of this video. The latest on the Build Back Better Act, but also the opportunity for you to get checks right today. It's third stimulus. And viewers have gotten $10,000 to $20,000 this week across the board. Then we'll be looking back at the opportunity of the president to do SS200. Boy, it has been talked about for 2 years, but now 2.0 can happen. It's a reality if he makes the phone call. Then we'll go over the opportunity to repurpose money, and we'll go back into the incredible provisions of the Build Back Better Act. Because as a Purple Hawk, you want to pounce and get that money before anyone else. We got a big second half, a lot of moolah in this recording. But first, I want you to go into this video and subscribe. But thank you for all the incredible subscriber growth. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video and consider becoming a member. You're watching LALATE, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Subscribe right now to bring us to #2. I want you part of this loving family. Like the video and become a member. The membership link is under the video. Also sign up for the LA alerts, the link to which is under the video as well. And as we go into a big second half, there is so much at issue with CR for stimulus 1, 2, 3, and 4.0. We're going to go over all the details of them starting right now. CR for stimulus 4.0 is really the most fascinating one of the mix. CR for stimulus, of course, is the opportunity to insert it into the Russian sanctions bill. Now, this one's a very peculiar one. I got to tell you, I understand what Chuck Schumer is thinking on this one. The Russian sanctions bill fits every motif of what we need here. It is a small bill. It has a time-sensitive bill. They got to do it before Vladimir Putin invades Ukraine. Number 3, it has bipartisan support. Bob Menendez on behalf of the Democrats and Marco Rubio on behalf of the Republicans. Everyone wants it passed. But in a short list of things that Chuck Schumer says he wants to get done in the Senate before the President's Day weekend break, this was not mentioned. And that caused Bob Menendez to go to Chuck Schumer and say, what's going on? Why was this not mentioned? You got to do this. You can't do this after Vladimir Putin invades Ukraine. Well, the breaking news right now, if you've not heard it in the last few hours, is that while I've been telling you for over about a week, there was 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border, there is now a lot more of Russia everywhere at the Ukrainian border and the Belarus. They are now in the waters. They are now in the air. We have never seen anything like this since the Cold War. Russian troops, U.S. troops, which I have been reporting about for over a month, have gone now from U.S. bases to German bases, to Romanian bases. They're getting very close, our U.S. troops. So it is getting very, very close. How many weeks have I been talking about this for you? I've been talking about Russia as an issue on this channel for nearly 2 to 3 months, saying if this gets very heated, it's going to cause massive financial collapse of a lot of the markets because Russia and Ukraine is an oil play, petroleum. You see the price of gasoline at the pump? Well, watch it if Russia makes that move. Very, very fascinating. So, CR for stimulus 4.0. I think that in view of what's changed the last few hours, that Chuck Schumer is going to put the Russian sanction bill back on his short list. It would be ridiculous not to, because now is the time to get that legislation done. What is the update on 2.0 and 3.0? This is really fascinating. So the House members passed CR for Stimulus 2.0 a Friday ago, and that was passed by the Democrats in the House side, who said we need pieces of legislation. At issue, they say we support the Build Back Better Act, but we need other pieces of legislation to go out quickly to deal with inflation and economic concerns. Remember, Build Back does economics, but it also does social issues like dental, vision, and hearing. That's not what they're talking about here. They're talking about inflation, your wallet. So it passed in the House very quickly. And ironically, one of the things I forgot to cover in the last few days is when it passed the House, it had some Republican support as well. So now it is off to the Senate, and the senators say, you know what? We're happy the House Democrats did it because the Senate Republicans had their version, and we look to merge with them very quickly across the board. Merge 3.0 and 2.0 very quickly. Why are Republicans and Democrats working hand in hand? I'll explain it to you later in this video. Stay to the very end. But Senator Todd Young, who is a Republican in the Senate, says, my hope is the process will move together forward. The Democrats pass their bill. We'll now go into conference and come up with a piece of legislation that's more reflective of what we can produce in the Senate. We'll work very quickly to try to improve everything and get it done here in the Senate. Wow. I mean, just incredible. Let's go to CR for Stimulus 1.0. R1, which is, remember, it doesn't matter if we use 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Maybe let me make this clear again. We're looking for different ways to get money out to you. So we only need one of these to work. So why are there 4.0 and 3.0? Because we're trying to look for different ways to get money out to you. If case one thing falters, we have another one to rely upon. So 1.0 is the original creation of this channel 2 weeks ago using the federal budget bill. That has a deadline of late February. So the great news is that it is on the short list of Chuck Schumer's, obviously, because you got to get it done. And the great question of will they get it done potentially was answered by John Tester, Democrat from Montana, who said, you know what, if those 4 guys get the top line number done, we're finished. They are Chuck Schumer, Patrick Leahy, Mitch McConnell, and another Republican. So his statement is that all we have to do is agree upon the price tag of this continuing resolution, and then we will get the writing of it done within about 5 days thereafter. We'll be done. So you want to advocate to those 2 Democrats, Patrick Leahy, that's Lehy, and Chuck Schumer. The first one's Vermont, the second one's New York. And there's 3 things you want to advocate for. 1, you want to advocate for them getting the continuing resolution done this month. Don't roll it over. Number 2, do not do a stopgap. And number 3, insert a stimulus check in there. You did it in 2020. You can do it in 2022. Now, you can say it in all your ways that you want to say it, but this is the way I would say it if I was on the phone. I've supported your back throughout all the months of waiting for Build Back Better. It's been 11 months, and we've held your back and watched your back as Senate Democrats. And we still have your back, but we deserve a check for supporting you throughout this endeavor. And if you want our support for you in the midterm elections as Democrats, then get a check into this. You did it in 2020 when you were trying to win the Georgia Senate seats. You can do it again today. And the Republicans would do it as well for you because they want to get those Senate seats won as well. There you go. More about the nuances of that right now. Why is there suddenly a strange dichotomy of bipartisan support that we've not seen in recent years, or at least since the start of this term of this president, across the board? You've noticed it. I've noticed it. Print media's noticed it. It's brand new. Democrats and Republicans both understand the way to win the midterm elections is only one way. Get bodies of legislation passed and voted on that deal with the economy. Complaining, not going to get you elected. Promising, not going to get you elected. You have to pass legislations that deal with inflation, that deal with costs of goods, that deal with the CPI, that deal with those type of things. And that is why a lot of Democrats and Republicans are now trying to look like they're busy. You've seen this before, where they suddenly get busy right before election night. Well, if it looks familiar, it should. CR for Stimulus 2020. The CR for Stimulus of December 2020 was after the presidential election, but guess what? It was done before the 2 Georgia Senate seats that determine whether the Senate went Republican or Democrat. People love to start spending money on you when their seats are at issue. So seats for stimulus really clearly back in the mix in a strange, different dichotomy. Now with that, let's turn to what the president can do himself going into these midterm elections with 2 opportunities. 1, repurposing money, and then the second is the opportunity of SS 200. First, let's go over the concept of repurposing money. The concept of repurposing money is very simple. Congress passes pieces of legislation that establish programs that may run a year or 2 years, for example, and they're funded the programs. Well, what happens after the program's duration is ended? After the tenure is over, 1 to 2 years, for example, the money may not have all been used up. So where does the money stay? It still stays in that federal agency until someone moves it. And the concept of this is what we're talking about right now, repurposing or moving the money so that it lands, guess what, in your hands. We saw this twice during the Trump administration. The president has the authority to do this. He does not need executive order. He does not need an act of Congress. He does not need a writing. He just needs to pick up the phone and call. We saw this on the Trump administration first when Donald Trump understood that millions of Americans needed additional weeks of FPUC that goes on top of your PUA and UI. It had ended. Needed an act of Congress. Congress was just a mess then. He didn't want to go to Congress. So he came up with the idea of repurposing existing funds. He found them at FEMA. FEMA, disasters, tornadoes, hurricanes, never you would think about them having unemployment assistance, but that's what he could do, and he did. He said, you're sending this money out as LWA, and it became the extra weeks of that boost for unemployment. Donald Trump had a second opportunity. He passed up, and I think it cost him the election. It was $550 billion of extra money sitting around at SBA. Programs had ended. The SBA money was still there. He could have repurposed it as 2 stimulus checks. He didn't. The money is now gone. The FEMA money is gone. So what does Joe Biden do? Joe Biden, all he has to do is find the agency who has extra money sitting around from any of these programs and repurposing it by picking up the phone and saying, you know what? You're sending it out to the American people right now. They need in time of relief. Get it done. Very, very simple. And this is why a person who watches numbers like me and you needs to be on top of those numbers. If you can find extra sums of money sitting around in programs that have now expired, send me a private message and I'll feature it live on air. Now, the second opportunity for Joseph Biden is SS200. We can go over the history of SS200, which is now at 2 years. The promises that came in 2020, then in 2021, and how we can do it right now in 2022 with what I'm calling is SS200 2.0. Let's understand what it is by going back to the very beginning. SS200 manifests itself, came to creation, was created by Elizabeth Warren. She was running for president. She was proposing massive reform to the Social Security Administration. Many things she wanted to do. She wanted to remove the asset cap. She can't do it, requires an act of Congress, still needs a recall for it. She wanted to remove the marriage penalty, still needs an act of Congress. She wanted to remove the income cap, still needs an act of Congress. But she wanted to raise your benefits up and change the benchmark and give you $200 a month for 6 to 12 months. That's SS200. The concept of SS200 was that your benefits were devalued for many, many years. And then you went to the pandemic, you need more money. You still need to get caught up. She wanted to give you about $1,200, 6 to 12 months of $200 on top of your existing benefits out the door. Well, that was then. That was January 2020. What happened after that is that herself, Chuck Schumer, Ron Wyden, introduced documents and proposed legislation, not an actual bill, but proposed legislation to the Senate floor saying, we want to do this now on the Senate floor. Then Liz Warren withdrew for her run for president, and Joe Biden says, I like her policies. I'm going to adopt them as part of my campaign promises. And he did. He promised $200 a month on top of existing benefits. And then when he ran the election, when he ran for president, those following months, he continued to repeat it until he got elected. When he was president-elect, waiting to be sworn in, he put it in his transition papers. Again, literally wrote $200 a month on top of existing benefits. Done. So what happened? He came in and it literally disappeared from everyone's mouths. Not a good look. Not a good look. I noticed it, you noticed it, and fellow Democrats noticed it. And what did they say? Well, it has now been several months, Mr. President. You haven't done it. So we're going to do it as fifth stimulus recon. We're going to do it as another reconciliation and do it by bill and get it done. Well, that was fifth stimulus covered on this channel for much of 2021. And they were supposed to start it by December 2021. They have not started it. They still can. But I have now come up with the creation of SS200 2.0 by showing you how Joe Biden can do this very simply, without an act of Congress, without a executive order without a stroke of a pen. All it requires is a phone call. If you remember, a year ago, people were waiting for their third stimulus check to land. And there was a commissioner named Commissioner Saul, who was head of the Social Security Administration. That was a Trump appointee, and Joe Biden really disliked him. He fired him, put his own guy in. So what happened after that? Late last year, Joe Biden said, you know what, snap, Department of Agriculture, you're not paying enough money. So this year, President, I want you to consider paying people more money. And they did. All he did was just give them a persuasive pitch on the phone. And they're paying you 25% lifetime more per year, because of that phone call. What can he do now with his replacement for Commissioner Saul at Social Security? He can pick up the phone and say, you know what? I want you to replace COLA with inflation as the benchmark. And I want you to do it 30 days from now. And I encourage you to make that your policy. And if they say yes, congratulations, you get SS200. Not just for 6 to 12 months like Liz Warren promised, but a lifetime. Let's go over how this works and the concept of it very quickly across the board. The concept is very simple, that COLA raised your benefits up 5.9% last month. But if we replace COLA with inflation, which is at 7.5%, potentially staying that way for several months, you'll get 7.5% more than last month, not 5.9% more. That is a difference of at least $200 more than what you're getting right now. Let me say this another way. Your benefits go up every year based upon COLA or stay the same. COLA is a horrible benchmark. So for many years, it never moves. And so every year you see your check, it looks like the same check from the year before. Well, it went up 5.9% this month based upon COLA announced last December, because COLA gave you a good number, 5.9%. All you do is you come in, replace COLA, kick it to the curb, and replace it with inflation, which is not 5.9%, it's 7.5%. So that means next month, the first month that they activate it, the next month you would immediately get $200 more per month. There you go, the $200 more per month. And it wouldn't be just for 1 month, it would be a lifetime. Now, the great news about this is that even if there is a delay to getting this done, 1 month or 2 months, new economic data that came in yesterday, featured live on this channel as soon as it broke, shows that inflationary concerns are not going away. A major shipping transport company that does all the barges in the oceans and seas says that the inflationary supply chain issues are not going away first quarter 2022. Second quarter 2022. Says they may be here all the way to the second half of this year. That means that everything I have predicted about inflation is right. I said that inflation was going to be I said it was going to be 8% in December of 2021, and it was not going to be temporary. I was the only person who said this. Federal Reserve said it was going to be 1 to 2% and temporary. They were wrong. Wall Street said it was going to be 1 to 2% and temporary. They were wrong. They also said that inflation was going to be temporary and gone in 1 month. Very wrong. I said 8% and not temporary. So this is why doing this for the SS200 works so incredibly well. And with that, now let's go into some of the incredible provisions of the Build Back Better Act so you understand what is at issue in this Build Back Better Act. These are some of the checks that would go out to you that Joseph Biden says in new comments from his press manager, Andrew Bates. He wants these checks to go out as quickly as possible. They are the following. Cheaper prescription medication. Dropping medications like Medicare Part B and D, cancer-authorized diabetes for seniors and people on disabilities, and dropping them dramatically. 10 medications dropped dramatically in year 1, and then going to 30 medications by year 2028. $72,500 of what you can deduct in state and local taxes grown up on the SALT cap from just the $10,000 allowed currently. $40 billion of free job training checks from these Americans who want to take a higher paying job. Then they also got into this forced stimulus recon, the Build Back Better Act. They got in there the Medicaid gaps fixed, providing 12 states that where the governors have vowed to never provide Obamacare. They have now subsidized private insurance to low-income uninsured people in those states in the Build Back Better Act. They got in there the $550 check for the Pell Grant recipients, $12,500 towards the purchase of a new electric vehicle, the money for nutrition, and then the earned income tax credit coming back one more year for hazard pay, the CTC child care coming back as well for one more year, and then many other provisions like the incredible money for housing. Housing is the big winner, and get that pen and paper ready because I told you at the end of this video I was going to show you how to get thousands of dollars. This is where viewers have gotten $10,000 to $20,000 this week alone. And we're going to go over that money right now. This is third stimulus. When third stimulus became law in spring of 2021, I said I can get you on average about $15,000 from this. Viewers have gotten on average $45,000. They got it in the first round when it became law in the spring. So January, February, March, April. Then I told viewers to get another round in the summer. They did. When winter came along, viewers got another round from me. This was the Christmas stimulus. Viewers on average got $15,000. They said they got about 3 to 4 months of rent and 1 utilities. Well, guess what? You can get another round today. It is also third stimulus. And I'm going to show you how far this round goes right now. But first, I want you to go over with me how to get this money. Pull out the membership newsletter if you're a member right now. If you're not a member, become a member. The link is under the video. Are you ready to rock and roll? Okay, here we go. This is the rent back in October. It has gone up a lot. It is now $40,000. You're going to get it from 6 places. You ready? City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall and State House Authority. Keys words you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You do 3 musts. You must reach out to all 6 places. You must get multiple applications on file, and you must do multiple rounds. Utilities. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $15,000 a year. Reach out to utility companies and ask for utility assistance because of COVID. SNAP. Get it from Department of Agriculture. It is your money for your food. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $25,000 a year over 10 years. That is $250,000. Then combos. Get 3 or more. Nisi and Art Sullivan started us on it. They showed us the importance of getting 3 items or more. Mark was only at 2 items at 32. I said Mark was your third. He got his third, brought him to 50,000. Now he's at over 100,000. Lorraine, she was at 105, and now she's at 120. Which then brings us to the question of how to do another round. When we're doing another round right now, what are we looking for? We're looking at going out as far as possible. So looking at going out to potentially May. If you're new to this channel, you're going to reach out to one of those, all 6 of those places and try to get one of them to fund you. If you're an existing viewer and gotten paid before, you want to call up the organization that paid you before and try to get it to May. If they say we're out of money, then lean on the nonprofits. They're featured in the newsletter as well. They get refunded in January, February. You want to look for May. Don't have it? Then do April. Don't have it? Then do March. Try to go out as far as possible. And that is rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance as well. And with that, so much money across the board. In this recording, we've seen the understanding of how to get third stimulus right now, still paying out. This is tens of thousands of dollars. It's been the big winner of this channel. Viewers continue to get it. And until it dries up, I'm going to continue to show viewers how to get it every single day. You want to continue to get it. So if you've done it before, keep on getting that money. We've gone over CR for Stimulus 1.0. Adding a potential check to the continuing resolution that is currently in the Senate. And Patrick Leahy and Chuck Schumer are the 2 guys you want to advocate to. Number 1, tell them to get it done this month. And number 2, tell them to put it in there. Then we talked about the opportunity to do CR for Stimulus 2.0. That comes from the House and now is in the Senate. It's a separate piece of economic legislation. The senators will like it that are Republicans say, we have our 3.0 version, we want to merge them together. The 4.0 is the fascinating one, which is the Russian sanctions bill. And guess what? That Russian sanctions bill needs to get done before Vladimir heads to Ukraine, or into Ukraine, I should say. And that is why that needs to be really teed up very quickly across the board. Meantime, the White House has multiple opportunities to get you money. Their opportunities involve repurposing existing funds of money to send them out as money to you, and then picking up the phone and contacting the Social Security Administrator and saying, you know what, replace COLA with a new benchmark of inflation. That will give you the SS200. Very straightforward, very logical, not very complicated. That's why we do it on this channel. And we do more of it on this channel later today. Coming up next is Evenings LALATE at 5 o'clock. Then we have Evenings Countdown at 6 o'clock. Evenings Home Stream Stimulus at 7 and Evenings Extra at 8. Then we go over an overnight show that all are about these provisions of the Build Back Better Act. They cover all these incredible checks. You want to know them one at a time. These Build Back Better Act checks were written up in 2021, so you want to know what they are because they're still in there. Shows at 9, 10, 11:30, and then we're back tomorrow morning as well. And with that, I want you to subscribe. Bring this channel from number 3 to number 2 most watched financial news channel in America. Like this video and consider becoming a member. Send your thoughts and prayers to the troops overseas as they battle the questions and concerns about what's going on with Russia. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and stay with LA for more.